friends, it's Miss Taylor, and today I would like to read to you one of my favorite books from when I was a kid, a long time ago. That's called Barney Bipples' Magic Dandelions. And this is by Carol Chapman with pictures by Stephen Kellogg, which happens to be one of my favorite all-time illustrators. I think he does a fantastic job. All right, so let's find out about Barney Bipple and his magic dandelions. You can see this book is well used. I'll scooch it over. Barney Bipple was 6, but he wanted to be 8. He wanted to be 8 so he could play with Gerald and Hector. He also wanted a big shiny car like his Uncle Jason had. Everyone called him Jace the Ace because his car was so neat. And he wanted his dog Snoozer to talk. Barney was sure that his dog had a lot of interesting things to talk about. Now it just so happened that next door to Barney Bipple lived an old woman named Minerva Merkel. Everyone thought she was rich because she had a lot of jewels and furs. One day, Barney saw a huge diamond on Miss Merkel's lawn. He knocked at her door and handed it to her politely. "Such a nice boy," said Miss Merkel. "I think I will give you a reward." She took him into her backyard. It was covered with white, puffy dandelions. Miss Merkel picked 3 and handed them to Barney. "Make a wish. Blow on a dandelion, and your wish will come true. But stick to simple wishes, like for diamonds and furs. If you need more, just let me know." Barney thanked Miss Merkel and went home. Not wanting furs or diamonds, he wished he was 8 and then blew the puff. In an instant, the snap on his pants popped, his shoes became tight, and he was 8. He ran down to Hector's house. "Can you play?" asked Barney in his new, older voice. "Sure," said Hector. "You must be a new kid." "Sort of," said Barney. And Barney and Hector found Gerald and they played baseball. After Hector and Gerald went home, Barney made his second wish. His dog Snoozer looked up at him and said, "Do you know I cannot stand my dry dog food? There are many different brands, but the kind your mother buys is the worst." "Wouldn't you like to tell me about some adventures?" asked Barney. "What adventures? All I do is eat and sleep. I did have an interesting dream about a steak once," said Snoozer. "Forget it," said Barney. "I guess it's time to make my third wish." This time he wished extra hard, then blew on his last puff. And zap! He was sitting in a long, shiny yellow car, and the engine was roaring. Barney stepped on the gas, and off he went, racing down the street, around the block, and on to the freeway. "Neat," said Barney, going 100 miles an hour. Pretty soon he heard a siren. "Uh-oh," he said. When he finally found the brake pedal, he stopped the car. "Okay," said the officer. "Let me see your license." I don't have one," said Barney. "What about the registration for the car?" asked the officer. I don't know what that is," said Barney. The officer took off his sunglasses. "Hey, you're just a kid," he exclaimed. So the officer drove Barney down to the police station and called Barney's mother. "Mom!" cried Barney when he saw her. "There must be some mistake," said Miss Bipple. "My son is 6, and this boy is 8." And she left. "Looks like you're in a lot of trouble," said the officer. "Driving a stolen car and saying you're someone's kid when you're not." Barney felt very sad. Then suddenly he had an idea. "Can I make a phone call?" he asked. "Sure," said the officer. 5 minutes later, Minerva Merkel arrived carrying a dandelion. She gave it to Barney. "See what happens when your wishes are complicated?" said Miss Merkel. Barney nodded and closed his eyes tight. "I wish away all those other wishes," he said. In an instant, he was in his own front yard. Snoozer barked, Gerald and Hector walked by ignoring him, and Barney knew he'd never see that yellow car again. Barney ran into his house. "Do you know who I am?" he asked his mom. "You're Barney Bipple, my 6-year-old boy," said Miss Bipple. "Right!" yelled Barney, giving his mother a giant hug. And he never made complicated wishes again. Just simple wishes, like for a bike, a steak for Snoozer, a radio, a baby brother, a new mitt, a frog, gum, a pony, and stuff like that. So that is the story of Barney Bipple and his magic dandelions. If you could find a magic dandelion, what would you wish for?